So I want you to imagine for just a moment that you are on the tail end of a particularly busy weekend. Imagine that perhaps on Sunday morning you hosted a birthday party for your 3-year-old child or grandchild, an exhausting event in its own right. During that party, unfortunately, events took a tense family turn, and there was a major family feud, and you were forced to ask 2 of your close relatives to leave and never return to your home. Then on Sunday evening, you get an email from HR regarding an interoffice spat offering terms of resolution. You go to sleep exhausted and wake up early on Monday morning to the sound of someone calling your name repeatedly. Alex, Alex. If you're like me, your immediate response would be, what? Abraham, however, responds very differently. The events I just described were a recap of yesterday's Torah reading and the transition to this morning's text. After holding a celebratory weaning party for his son Isaac, banishing his concubine Hagar and their elder son Ishmael from his house, and making a peace treaty with the regionally powerful Avimelech, God calls out to him, Abraham, Abraham. Abraham's response is legendary. Hineni, here I am. Bible scholar Nahum Sarna points out that this word, Hineni, is the only word Abraham utters to God in the entire episode of the binding of Isaac. What exactly does it mean then to declare Hineni, here I am? Rabbi Nina Beth Cardin, the founder of the Jewish Women's Resource Center, writes that Hineni is a pure, astonished, unguarded affirmation given before all the facts are known. It is a spontaneous, unequivocal commitment promising, I am here, where and as you found me, fully attentive, focused, all in. And even more, I am here, all of me, with all that I am and all that I can be. Hineni indicates a readiness to receive and respond to whatever experience is about to unfold. It is brave and humble. That is a lot of emotional punch to pack into one little word. The concept of Hineni stands out, especially in the passage we read this morning, where the declaration is made in 3 different dramatic moments. In addition to the citation I already discussed, it is also how Abraham responds to Isaac when his son starts to feel some trepidation about the journey they are embarking on together. Vayomer Yitzchak el Avraham aviv, vayomer aviv, vayomer hineni v'ni. Isaac spoke to his father Abraham and said, Father, and Abraham replied, I am here, my child. And finally, when the angel of God calls out to Abraham, as his knife is raised over Isaac's neck, Abraham responds with, you guessed it, Hineni, here I am. And we can imagine the relief in Abraham's voice in this moment as his hand is stayed. This year, the concept of Hineni is looming large in my mind thanks to our Hebrew school director, Noah Burke, and the kids of our community. Over the summer, Noah emailed me proposing that the theme for the school year be Hineni. What we want to impart to our children, in his own words, is a sense of being fully present, ready for direction, ready to grow, ready to share, ready to witness, ready to be transformed, and ultimately ready for a real-time connection with Hashem and Torah. With this theme, we hope to inspire our students to take themselves, their time in prayer, and their day-to-day activities seriously. We further hope to encourage students to apply this theme to themselves in a broader way that considers our planet and the contributions they might make to it. Noah's definition struck at the heart of what we want our curious and developing children to be learning in Hebrew school. Of course, it also offers a great example for the ways we want to be pushing our own growth as adults. Noah's concept of Hineni focuses on readiness, which is certainly something we're familiar with as we have approached Rosh Hashanah. We've just spent the whole last month, the Hebrew month of Elul, emphasizing readiness, reminding ourselves that if we show up on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur with no prior preparation, we're sure to find ourselves overmatched. So how can we get to Hineni? How can we meaningfully declare in our lives, here I am, I'm ready? Perhaps the best way to understand what it means to declare Hineni, here I am, is to look at the most famous instance in the Torah when Hineni was not the response. In just a few weeks, we'll start the Torah from the beginning and read the Genesis story. In chapter 3 of Genesis, while still in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve eat the forbidden fruit of the tree of knowledge. God, seeking to confront them about this, calls down to Adam and says, "Where are you?" Adam's reply, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." Adam, in this case, is the paradigm of what it means to shirk responsibility, to sidestep direct confrontation and instead make excuses. We can't help but wonder how the story might have turned out differently had Adam instead said to God, "Hineni, I'm here, I messed up, I feel terrible, and I want to know how to make it right." Of course, we'll never know how things might have been different had Adam taken accountability in his response to God. However, on Rosh Hashanah, we can certainly benefit from thinking about the ways in which being fully present can benefit us in the year ahead. I want to be clear, though. Embracing Hineni does not mean blindly saying yes. In that respect, looking at the story of the binding of Isaac is actually a terrible example. If someone is asking too much of us, as I think was the case when God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son, we can still say no. But the essence of Hineni is in declaring our presence, in responding to the call, to letting the other person know we are 100% there. Thankfully, when I asked our Hebrew school students 2 weeks ago what it means to say Hineni, they intuitively understood this. They told me that declaring Hineni doesn't necessarily mean unconditional assent. Rather, they suggested that it means you are willing to listen, that you are always listening attentively, and that you are willing to say, "I'm here, what do you need?" So, where can you and where will you declare this year that you are fully present? Obviously, there are plenty of opportunities in this very building. There are weekly events here at the shul where Hineni would be a tremendous asset. Shabbat services and adult ed classes come to mind, but also plentiful volunteer and committee opportunities. One of our great needs in the coming years is revamping our volunteer base. I'm so appreciative of the dedicated volunteers, board members, committee members, and committee chairs we have now, but we need the next round of folks to step up, say, "Here I am," and prepare to hear what will be asked of you. I promise there will be no binding or human sacrifice involved. And also looking around the room at the people who are here on day 2 of Rosh Hashanah, I realize I'm preaching to the choir a little bit, but maybe your Hineni can be helping me spread that message to the rest of the members of our community. We can also say Hineni to our friends and family. We've lost so much more than we realize or want to acknowledge over the last 3 years as COVID has disrupted every part of our lives. And while I don't want to pretend that it is fully in our rearview mirror, thank God we're in a better position than we were in 2020 or 2021. 5783 can be a year of reconnecting, reestablishing relationships, and making up for lost time and lost ground. The first step in that process is picking up the phone or getting in the car, showing up and saying, "Here I am, how are you?" And it goes without saying, you need to really mean it. Expanding that sphere, we need to say Hineni to people we don't know and too often don't see. Unfortunately, there are so many people in our midst who are forced to hide their trouble and pain, whether suffering from the stigma of mental illness, struggling with drug addiction we may never suspect, women feeling new fear and insecurity in the face of the rollback of their rights, or members of the LGBTQ+ community afraid to be fully present in their own skin, and so many others. Our willingness to declare our own supportive presence, to let these people know that Hineni, we are here for you, can go a long way to provide much-needed allyship and support. And lastly, we need to make sure we are comfortable saying Hineni as Jews and friends of the Jewish community. Last year, from this bima, I spoke about the specter of rising anti-Semitism in America and around the world. Unfortunately, the alarming trends of hatred and vitriol towards our community have not abated and continue to grow. Each one of us is a representative of the Jewish community and need to step into that role. We must continue to call out acts of hate and discrimination when we see them, and carry ourselves as models of the good neighbors, co-workers, family, and friends that we are, and in the process, remind everyone that as Jews, Hineni, we are here. None of these are small tasks. Stepping up to the plate is difficult under any circumstance, and the current moment finds us each putting ourselves back together after years of unexpected heartbreak and disruption. Yet I'm confident that the rewards of declaring Hineni are like the rewards promised to Abraham and Sarah, as numerous as the stars of the sky. Saying Hineni and ultimately being fully present and ready for what is asked for us will not only enrich us spiritually and communally, being there for others will ensure that others